Hey y'all, how are you? How are you? Deborah Porter here with Mom's Mentoring Circle. Oh, y'all, I'm really struggling to keep my hands off my face. But I gotta admit, I have not been out the house since, I don't know, Saturday, Sunday. So still hand ties and still washing them, but still struggling with keeping them off my face. But anywho, welcome. Here at Mom's Mentoring Circle, you know guys, I'm here to support. And we have just entered into what is going to be a new normal, at least for several weeks into a couple of months, maybe longer. And so I want to check in and see how everybody is managing not only what they've got going on as far as things that they have to keep up with and things they have to do, but really how are you managing with your own thoughts and maybe levels of anxiety that this new normal has, caused each of us to have to face. So I just want to share a couple of things with you, and I'm going to get some resources together within the coming days, and I'll provide those to you as well. But, this is definitely a new normal. And even for those of us that have not battled anxiety before, I don't think that I've really battled anxiety on any consistent level. I have had, like most of us, situations in life where things happen where you may begin to feel a little anxious, but it's not something I battle with regularly. So if anxiety, hey Kathy, if you already struggle with anxiety, or if you have never struggled with anxiety, what is going on right now can cause any of us, the best of us, to struggle with some level of anxiety. And so I really want to just give you a couple of tools to kind of help manage through that. Some little advice from someone who has not really suffered from anxiety, but this has brought on something that I've never experienced before. And so kind of how I'm managing it as well. I am by nature kind of a news junkie. I'm either watching the news or some type of crime show like First 48, Cold Justice, something like that. One of my besties is on Cold Justice, but anywho, so that's kind of where, if I'm watching TV, that's what I'm watching. And so last night, as I was watching the news before I was going to bed, mistake number one, I just kind of felt my heart racing a little bit. I started, really wondering and thinking kind of, my thoughts were kind of getting ahead of me. And, I started thinking, do I have enough toilet paper? Like, do I need to count my rolls and start rationing toilet paper? And immediately I just had to say stop. Out loud, I was like, just stop. And so for me, and it may be the same for you, but for me, it's about making every thought captive to the word of Jesus. Hey, Janine, how are you? So for me, that's what I have to do. When I feel my thoughts and things kind of running away from me, I know everybody's got, their kids at home and everybody's hunkering down. I've got young adult children that are not here, that I wish were here, that I want here, but they're grown, right? So they're, quarantined in their own homes, and I'm texting like, why don't y'all come home? And they're like, Mom, we're good. So, you get to the empty nest phase where that control, and you've given that over to them gladly, but then you have an issue like this come up, and those levels of anxiety kind of pop up and down. But for me, the idea as those thoughts, hey, Wanda, as those thoughts begin to get ahead of me, I have to stop them. And I do think we have control and the ability to stop them because they can begin to race. And I think part of that is why we are seeing the folks that are buying all this toilet paper and other things. Now, that's not the only reason that that's happening. I put up a post yesterday and I was doing some reading, and they were talking about when things begin to get out of your control, as a fear reaction, we then kind of hoard the things we can control. Now, that's aside from the people that have large families and need to buy like that, or people that are going to price gorge and, buy it and then jack the price up 2 or 3 times. But I just want us to begin to be aware of our own behavior and how a lot of our behavior really starts here. And it starts with a thought, or the thought of fear, or allowing certain thoughts to kind of get away from us and jumping to worst case scenario and then responding to that. And so for myself, last night, I kind of felt that kind of ramping up. You get what you say. Yeah, that's true, Kathy. You do. You get what you say. Hey, Robin, how are you? Wanda says, yep, I've been to the grocery store every day since Friday. I know, Wanda, I know, we can't. But it's so easy to kind of get into that mode, and you get home, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have this. Oh my gosh, I don't have enough of this. And last night I just had to quiet myself. And so I want you to be on guard about where your thoughts are, because that is going to drive your behavior. And so if you allow fearful thoughts to kind of roam around and run through your mind, hey, your behavior is then going to respond to those thoughts. And yeah, this is serious, right? I'm not, living in a fantasy land. This is serious, but it's not worst case scenario. And I need to respond for where I am and to do what I can do and to handle what is within my control, because certain things concerning this are completely out of my control. And so I need to be responsible in what I can do and handling what's within my control. And so the other thing we need to think about as moms is that our children will then give us that same, kind of anxious behavior or whatever it is they see in us. They'll give that back to us, but it will be in exponential ways. So we may be upset, they may be distraught, right? So it's not only for you, but you do have a responsibility as a parent that there are little eyes watching you, and that they very well are going to take their cues from you. And so there are just a couple of tips that I want to give you. We've never been where we are right now before. So, with all the systems that I have in place and the things that I've done, they've helped, because I've already had some self-care systems in place. I already know kind of what brings me peace and what brings me back down, and what, centers me and settles me. If you don't have those things in place, now is the absolute time to work on that and to solidify those things. Hey, Sylvia, now is the absolute time to do it. Oh gosh, girl, I'm sorry, y'all, but my face itches, so I gotta scratch it. So it's in these moments that we do need to have a plan. Hey, Rashonda, how are you? It's in these moments we do have to have a plan, because here's the thing: as the anxiety kind of ramps up, you got to have a plan for what you're doing. For me, this is just for me, my plan is the Word of God. I'm taking every thought captive to the Word, and I'm making it obey, and I'm making it submit to the Word of God. That's my plan. That's how I do it. And the idea is, oh, thank you, Rashonda, for joining. And the idea here is, because there are things out of my control, but I know it's not outside of God's control. So for me, that's part of where my peace comes from. That's part of where my the levels of my anxiety can come back down. It's not up to me. I can't manage all of this. There's no way I can do it. Rashonda says the kids and I are rereading Psalm 91. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you've got to have something that you're anchored in, right? There's got to be something you're anchored in that beyond a shadow of a doubt. I can't get into the worry of that. I need to do what I know that I can do and what my part is. So here's the thing. You got to know for you what settles you. So for me, it's the Word of God, but it's also quiet. Like, I need some moments and some time of quiet to myself. So if that means you got to get up before everybody else, or if that means I got to, stay up late after everyone else, whatever it is, I need that for me. That settles and helps to center me. But I want to give you 3 things, because right now, more than ever before, we need a plan, y'all. As moms, we need a plan. We need a plan in motion for ourselves. We need a plan for our homes. We need a plan for the atmosphere in our homes. Listen, this can have your home atmosphere just being on edge. And so I just want to give you 3 points, 3 ways for you to come up with your own plan. And then I'm going to provide you some resources. I'm not going to do it in a newsletter. I'm really just going to send you some links to some stuff that I know will support you. So make sure I have your email address. Either give it to me here in the comments, send me a private message, but make sure I have your email address. I have some resources that I want to pass on to you in the coming days. But the first thing I want you to do in coming up with your plan is make sure you have time to do what helps reduce stress for you, right? When we're on airplanes, they always say, put your own mask on first before you help somebody else. You cannot help your children reduce their stress and anxiety if you are anxious. You can't do it. So what are the things that help reduce your stress? For me, it's quiet and my Bible and a cup of tea. If I can get those things on a daily basis, anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes, I'm centered and I'm settled. What is it for you? What are the things that cause you to be able to reduce your anxiety and your stress? Normally for times like this, if it wasn't what we're dealing with, I would say bring in a mother's helper so you can get some time by yourself, or, bring in a college student, they're home on spring break. You can still do that. Of course, there's some concern of, you and your family being exposed to this virus. But if you have families in your village, and every mama needs a village, and they've been taking this quarantine seriously, and that they have been home with no one else around for the past 2 weeks, if you need to bring somebody in for a few minutes to help you, if your spouse is home and also working from home, it gets to the point where you don't ask for permission to do what you need to do, but you set it up, and it's more like, okay, here we go. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I need y'all to do in the process. If you have older children that can be left alone and you can go on a walk, for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour by yourself, find the things and make the time to introduce and to do the things that will help reduce your stress. That's pivotal. That's pivotal. Build the quiet time into your schedule, or whatever it is that reduces it for you. For me, it's quiet time. Number 2, build in time for fun. Now, this may be exercising. This right now could be dancing around your house. My kids, when they were little, loved to tell jokes that were not funny. Not funny. I didn't even get them. But it made us all laugh. So in the midst of all this, we need to be able to have some normalcy. We need to still be laughing. We need to still be enjoying each other. So however that happens in your house and for your family, singing, we're not the most, the best singers in our family, but one of my sons is known for creating songs about the family. He still does it to this day, and he's a grown man. So find those things in your family that make you laugh. Playing a fun game. Twister will do it every time. I know it's old school. I don't even know if the kids nowadays know about Twister. But find something that is going to have you guys laughing and having some fun, right? The first point was find the thing, make the time for the thing that reduces stress and anxiety for you. Find time to have fun. And the last one is have a time for reflection and communication. Y'all check in with each other. Kids oftentimes will on the outside appear like everything is fine, and on the inside, they are struggling. So make sure you have regular check-in time. It doesn't necessarily have to be daily, but definitely a couple times a week. Check in and make sure they're good. Make sure, how are you feeling about everything? I know there's a lot going on. And when we talk about communicating, the other thing I really want to squeeze in here as well is the television is going to throw a lot of stuff at you. The media is going to throw a lot of stuff at you. Turn that off. And I would also, I think we all do need to be aware of what's going on. So whether that means you watch it, at noon or sometime in the morning to catch up, but by the evening, cut it off. The last thing you want to do is go to bed with those reports on your mind. They can impact your sleep. They can impact your dreams. They can impact how you wake up the next day. Hey, Valerie. So my advice would be, and I'm not telling you this because I read it somewhere. I'm telling you this because last night I thought I was having a panic attack. I've never had a panic attack, so I'm not sure if that's what it is, but I think that's what it is. That's what it was. And here's why. Because I watched too much news yesterday. And an hour before bed, I'm sitting there watching one news report after another about this thing. I literally thought I was losing my breath. And I had to come back to what settles and centers me. And I had to come back to what brings me peace. And that was grabbing every thought, making it captive and making it submit to the word of God and pulling out my word and reminding myself that he is God. I am not. He is in control. I surely am not. But there are certain things that I can do. There are things that are within my control. Valerie says, hi, Deborah Porter. Yes, don't allow all of that into your spirit. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It can almost feel isolating right now, right? We can almost feel, we're quarantined. And for those of us that are extroverts, I'm kind of a mix. But if you're an extrovert, this may be driving you bananas. So we've got to find ways to still be able to connect and stay connected with each other. We can't forget about people. If there are older people in your neighborhood, in your family, please check on people. I just checked on my neighbor next door. It's an older couple there in their 70s and 80s. Sent her a quick text the other day when we were heading to the store. She needed some stuff, but was afraid to go out to the store. This was before people were putting in, hours for the elderly to shop. Check on people, singles that people that are not married, no children. Check on them. Let them know, do you need something? I can leave it in front of you, outside your front door. Janine says this event has made everyone mindful of what is important. I have seen more families taking family walks, playing in the yard, etc., more so than ever before. I would so agree with you. Hey, Diane, how are you? Wanda, this is bananas. It's bananas, but check on people. Check on people. That's going to help you as well. It's not just about checking on them to help them. It's going to help you to stay connected, because what the quarantine is doing is making us feel really isolated from each other. And even when you see people, we hug people. You can't hug, you can't touch, you can't express concern and care and love for people in the ways that we've become accustomed to. So find ways to reach out to people in other ways, and that's going to help combat the feeling of isolation. There are different ways to do it. I've looked at several online. I'm going to put these in some kind of a document or something. I would love to provide these to you, but there are virtual field trips. A lot of the museums are putting their things on display. I read somewhere about doing a virtual field trip scavenger hunt. Janine says, I have implemented a mommy and me journal with my third grader. I have learned so much about what is going on in her head without the rush of the day-to-day activities. Oh, I love that. I had that with one of my children too, my youngest. We had a journal that we kept, and I would write in it and leave it by his bedside, and then at some point he'd write in it and leave it by my bedside. But that's a great way to connect and to find out kind of where they are and what all is going on. A lot of times kids take things and hear things and they hear it literally. And so we need to be able to be there to kind of break some of that stuff down for them. Virtual dance lessons. Y'all know Debbie Allen. She's doing some virtual dance lessons on Instagram. I mean, world renowned. We don't really have the opportunity to take dance lessons from Debbie Allen. Hey, Darlene. Darlene says, hey, Deborah, this is the worst time and we all need to look out for each other and pray. Yes, yes, and yes. I agree. There are virtual art classes going on online. Your children can create a Zoom study group with their friends. They can do virtual lunch dates on Zoom and FaceTime. I put up something on Instagram yesterday, which was about having indoor picnics. And if you have a yard, you can do an outdoor picnic. But think about ways, we've talked about 3 different things you need to have in your plan, and we need to do this. Yes, this is making us more aware of certain things, but these are things we need to have in place and do regardless. So the first thing is time to do what reduces your stress and lowers your anxiety. Secondly, time for fun. We have to smile and laugh. Life has got to go on in the midst of this. And the third thing is time for reflection and communication with a limit to media. And I would say hours before bedtime. I would say by 3-4 o'clock, no more news. It will impact your sleep. It can impact your appetite. It can impact your dreams, your wake up cycle. So I would say cut all of that out. Hey, Sylvia. Sylvia says, join us in prayer every evening at 7 p.m. for peace, joy, and a vaccine for cure. Oh, I can't see. Oh, there we go. For cure of the virus. It's a great way for the people of God to come together for each other. That's a great idea. 7 p.m. Take a few minutes to pray. Micah and I are going to join Debbie Allen tonight. Yay! Yes, please head over to Instagram, follow Debbie Allen, and follow her virtual dance classes she's doing. She's world-renowned dancer and dance instructor. So it's something that it would be fun for your family. It's exercise. You get to laugh, and you get to really get quality information and instruction from someone who's been doing this for most of her adult life. And so I am going to put together some information, some of these links to these different virtual field trips, virtual dance lessons, virtual singing lessons. There's so much now that's being offered, and the opportunity to now have technology the way that we have it is going to open that up for us. So you don't have to be isolated. You don't have to be alone. And listen, y'all know I have said this before. You can love Jesus and still have a therapist. If your anxiety levels are beyond the tips that I've given you for managing them, if it's beyond that, listen, there are virtual therapists right now if you don't even want to leave your house. Don't think that loving Jesus means that you can't have a therapist. Don't let people tell you therapy is for people who are weak. Don't let any of that happen. If your child needs therapy, if your child is beyond what you think you can even manage and handle to be able to calm them and make them feel secure and know that they're safe, please don't let any outside talk or inside talk convince you that you shouldn't reach out for that. Sylvia says, thank you for being on and giving us a sense of normalcy. You know what? I'm going to be here. I'm not, the virus has taken many things, but the connection I have with y'all, it's not going to take that. So I'm going to put together some information that I think would help, and it'll be changing information. So, different people are offering. I think one of Lady Gaga's background dancers is going to do a dance class. I'm sure they'll PG it down, I guess. I don't know, but just info, just FYI. So give me your email address either here or private message me, or any mom that you know that is really looking for, what do I do? I've had moms on every end of the spectrum this week. I've had moms that are like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be able to be home and have this time with my kids, to other moms that are like, I didn't sign up for this. Like, I have a job, they go to school, and we meet up at dinner. Like, that's what we do in my family. I don't know what I'm doing. So there's those extremes and everything in between. So let's support each other. Let's be there for each other. Be on the lookout for an invitation to join a mom group that I'm going to create just during this time of quarantine, where we can kind of each share what's going on, each share kind of what we're hearing about in different opportunities. So look out for that as well. But please make sure I have your email address so that I can provide this to you. Darlene says, that's so true. If you need to talk to a therapist, I agree. Look, I can do both. I can love Jesus as I'm calling to make my appointment with my therapist. One does not cancel out the other. And I think for many years, depending on what, your culture, or depending on your religion, any piece of that could have made you think that you're not enough if you need to go to therapy. That's a lie. That's a lie. So again, the 3 things I want you to put in plan and in place now, these 3 things, put these in place now. Time to do the thing that helps to reduce my stress and anxiety. Time for fun. And time for reflection and communication. I know there's schoolwork that has to get done. I know there's work that has to get done if you're working from home. I know all that. But we got to be in this for the long haul. Okay, this is not a sprint. We're gonna be here for a minute. We're going to be here for a minute. So if your kids read and do a few math problems every day, chalk that up as a win. Give yourself a thumbs up and a pat on the back real good. Real good. Because if you're not an educator, this is not an easy spot to be in. All right, so I'm happy to be here to support you guys. I really am. It's moments like this that we need systems and plans in place, not just personally, professionally, domestically, as parents. In these moments, it's when those systems and plans begin to sprout and really help carry us through from day to day. So give me your email. I'll send you what I have. And I'll be popping back on here more frequently than just on Wednesdays, just because of so much going on. And also be on the lookout for a Facebook group where we can all kind of share and kind of put in what we hear, what's going on, in different ways to support each other. I love you guys. And I'm super glad that we still have this connection and this way to connect and communicate. Please let me know if there's any other way I can support you. If you know that you need more, right? The 3 points are great, but I need a whole overhaul. I'm here for that as well. So just let me know. Valerie says, thanks, Deborah Porter. Great info and care. Love you guys. Have a great day. I'll check in later. Bye.